Okay, so if you're autistic, then you definitely do this and you understand what I'm about to say to you. Here are two really weird traits of autism in adults, and yeah, let's go. A lot of the time I'm thinking like outwardly about different things that I do, and I become more aware of those things that I do, right? And some of the quirks and some of the weird things that I do. But a lot of the time people say to me, hey, autism comes with OCD, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then a lot of people confuse OCD with autism rituals and routines. Now, they are two different things, and there's this like crazy constant battle, but I'm going to explain them now, and then you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is me. Because people would say, hey, autistic people have OCD, which means that they like to, they get enjoyment out of routines. They do the same thing every day. That's an OCD, and they enjoy it. Autistic routines and rituals is an OCD that is presented through autism. So it's a compulsion for obsession in that area to do that thing multiple times. Because autistic individuals have a compulsive way of thinking, right? And they have compulsive behavioral bits and pieces. Now, by the way, guys, my name is Dan Jones, and I'm autistic and ADHD, so I do videos like this all the time. If you want to learn more, then make sure to hit the subscribe button down below by clicking on the notification bell. So, in terms of OCD on its own, OCD can be a diagnosis, a mental health condition on its own. OCD in autism can be something that happens for the autistic person experiencing life. Now, what's the difference and how do they interact? And you're going to know this. OCD, when it's just autistic OCD or autistic compulsions for obsessive doing something the same, routines and rituals, those things bring you joy. Having the same food every day, sitting in the same spot every day, having the same thing for lunch every day, watching the same TV shows, reading the same books, doing the things that bring you joy repeatedly is the OCD or the compulsion for autistic individuals, like wearing the same clothes, like sitting in the same spot, like listening to the same music, and even the same part of the song and rewind it constantly. That's an OCD, but it gives you dopamine. It means you enjoy doing that. That gives you joy. It brings you joy. So what's the difference between that and normal OCD? Well, I have both, right? And most autistic people, I'd say all autistic people have both because we have compulsive tendencies. Now, OCD in the mental health space, on its own as a diagnosis of just OCD, works like this. The things that I do that I'm compelled to do with OCD, I do because I feel like if I don't do those things, something bad will happen. I actually don't like doing those things, but feel I have to. So I'm compelled to do those things. Like washing my hands a certain way, wiping my hands on the towel a certain way, putting the towel back on the rack a certain way. I had to do it many times until I get it right because I'm fearful that the end of days is going to come or something bad's going to happen to my family or, someone's going to die. Like I can't listen to music or sing in the shower or any entertainment when I'm in the shower, like podcasts and stuff, because I believe that something bad will happen if I do that. And that's a compulsion, an obsession towards being obsessively compulsive with doing the same thing to stop negative things happening. Now that's a mental health condition, and it's quite interesting actually when you talk about that because autistic people will tell you this. And then you'll be like, hey, I thought you liked doing things that are OCD. It's like, well, yeah, I do, but I also don't like doing OCD. And so you get confused. The autistic person, we're like, wait, I like doing things repetitively, obsessively, but then also I don't like doing these things obsessively. And this is why we have two things going on. We have two types of OCD. Nobody talks about this. It's clearly separated. One is the compulsion to do something for fear of something else, which you don't like to do. It doesn't bring you joy. It brings you harm, like pain. And the other one is a compulsion to do things that bring you joy and you love it and it brings you happiness. And so we experience both of these simultaneously. And so it's such an interesting kind of like coalition between the two types of OCD. Now, on top of that, autistic adults are constantly battling with this wanting to be social, but then also liking time on their own. But when you've got time on your own, you'll feel lonely. It's an interesting experience being an autistic adult because you want friends and you want to be social, you want to have friends, you want to feel part of the group. But being part of the group is kind of sometimes detrimental. It makes you feel, it drags on you, right? And then on the contrary, when you say, oh, I'll just be at home on my own because I feel safer, but yes, you do feel safer, but then you also feel lonely. And then we're like, oh, we're super lonely. Like, what are we doing? And again, this is an interesting kind of push and pull in the mind of an autistic person. So when you see an autistic person melting down or when we are having meltdowns, it's not because we're not getting our own way, we're being bratty or I don't know, someone said to me once something like, your alphabet spaghetti isn't, alphabetized or your toothpicks aren't lined up when you're eating your food. It's just the horrible things. But it's nothing like that. It's this battle for your brain for stability or normality in a wave function. Not normality as in like that's normal. A wave function, like a wave function. When a wave function normalizes, it flattens out. And so when you're looking for a flat function to gain a grasp or a control or a normality in that situation, it's hard because your brain is pulling you in many different directions. Just those two examples I've told you, you've got OCD and OCD pulling you, and then you've got socializing versus being alone pulling you in different directions. And on top of that, it causes mental health because you're observing this and confronting it, as in like seeing head on or observing it. And now you're like, oh my goodness, it's so interesting, it's fascinating. And I love this about autistic individuals. And in fact, I have created a program called the Confidence Catapult for Autistic Adults, which is how to build a bulletproof autistic brain in 7 days. And I go through 7 steps of it. But if you're interested, you can actually download the first part of it completely for free from www.bulletproofbrain.org. You go there right now, or click the link in my description or bio. What you can do is start this journey of understanding those things and taking control of those situations so that the OCD and the being alone and the other 79 pieces of information that I know about don't control your life. You control those, and then you are now in control. And it's so interesting. I find that autistic individuals have other areas like this where they feel deeply about the opinions of others, and they also don't care about the opinions of others, which is really interesting. And the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, well, that's another video. If you'd like to see a video on rejection sensitivity dysphoria, pop me a comment down below and a thumbs up and say, yes, Dan, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I want to see it. But in the meantime, click subscribe on this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.